Hello, everyone, and welcome to Practice English TV. I'm Mark. We're really happy you're here with us today. Thanks for spending a little time with us, wherever you're listening from in the world.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma. It's so nice to have you with us. Whether you're at home, on a walk, or commuting, we're glad you chose to practice English with us today.
In this episode, we're talking about ordering food at a restaurant. This is the kind of English you hear and use when you're eating out, especially when you talk with the server and order your meal.
We'll help you feel more comfortable, more confident, and more relaxed when you order food in English. You can use this English in real life with real people in real restaurants.
If you enjoy learning English with us, feel free to subscribe and come back anytime. And if you know someone else who's learning English, you can share this episode with them too.
Thank you so much for being here and learning with us today. Let's take a deep breath, get comfortable, and begin together.
So, Emma, let's start with a simple question. When you walk into a restaurant, what is usually the first thing you notice?
Good question. I think the first thing I usually notice is the atmosphere. Is the place quiet? Is it busy? Are people talking and laughing? That first feeling can tell you a lot about the restaurant.
That's true. The atmosphere can really change the whole dining experience. Some restaurants feel calm and relaxed, while others are lively and energetic.
And after that, the next thing I usually look at is the menu. I love reading menus. Sometimes I even look at the menu online before going to the restaurant.
I do that too. A menu is simply the list of food and drinks that the restaurant offers. For English learners, reading menus is actually a great way to learn new vocabulary.
Yes, because menus often include many food words, things like grilled chicken, vegetable soup, pasta, or desserts.
And sometimes menus include descriptions of the food, which can make the dishes sound very delicious.
Exactly. Sometimes the description is so good that it becomes hard to decide what to order.
That happens to me a lot. I look at 3 different dishes and think, they all sound good.
Another interesting moment happens when the server comes to your table.
Right. The server is the person who takes your order and brings your food.
In some places, people say waiter or waitress, but many restaurants today use the word server.
And usually, the server begins with a simple question like, "Hi, how are you today?"
That's a nice and friendly way to start the conversation.
Then they might ask something like, "Can I get you something to drink?"
That's usually the first small step in the ordering process.
Yes, ordering food in a restaurant usually follows a simple pattern.
First, you sit down and look at the menu. Then you order drinks. After that, you decide what food you want.
And finally, after enjoying your meal, you ask for the bill.
When you understand this pattern, the conversation becomes much easier to follow.
Exactly. Instead of feeling nervous, you can relax and enjoy the experience.
And restaurants are actually great places to practice speaking English.
Yes, because the conversations are usually short and predictable.
Plus, restaurant staff often speak with people from many countries, so they are used to different accents.
That's a really good point. Many learners worry about their pronunciation, but most servers are very patient.
And even if you make a small mistake, people will usually understand you.
Exactly. Communication is more important than perfection.
All right, now that we've talked about the basic situation, let's explore some useful vocabulary that you'll hear when ordering food at a restaurant.
All right, Emma, let's explore some useful vocabulary that people often hear when they're ordering food at a restaurant.
Great idea. Learning these words can make restaurant conversations much easier to understand.
Let's start with a very common word, order.
Yes, when you order food, it means you tell the server what you want to eat or drink.
For example, a server might ask, "Are you ready to order?"
And you might respond, "Yes, I'd like the grilled chicken, please."
Another important word is dish.
A dish is a prepared food item on the menu.
For example, someone might say, "This restaurant has a very popular pasta dish."
Or you might hear a server say, "Our chicken dish is very popular tonight."
Now let's talk about the word special.
A special is a dish that the restaurant highlights for that day.
Sometimes the special is not on the regular menu.
A server might say, "Today's special is grilled salmon with lemon butter."
And many people enjoy trying the special because it's often freshly prepared.
Another useful word is ingredients.
Ingredients are the different foods used to prepare a dish.
For example, if someone has food allergies, they might ask, "What ingredients are in this soup?"
That's a very practical question.
Yes, especially for people who need to avoid certain foods.
Another word that appears often in restaurants is portion.
Portion refers to the amount of food you receive.
For example, someone might say, "The portions at this restaurant are very generous,"
Which can be great if you're really hungry.
or if you want leftovers to take home later.
That's true. Another very useful word is recommend.
When you ask someone to recommend something, you're asking for a suggestion.
For example, you might ask the server, "What do you recommend?"
And servers usually enjoy answering that question because they know the menu well.
Now let's look at the word refill.
Refill means filling your drink again.
A server might ask, "Would you like a refill on your coffee?"
In many restaurants, drinks like coffee or soda come with free refills.
Which many people really appreciate.
Definitely.
And finally, let's talk about the word bill.
The bill is the list showing everything you ordered and the total price.
In American restaurants, people sometimes say check instead of bill.
Both words mean the same thing.
For example, you might say, "Could we get the bill, please?"
Or, "Could we get the check?" These small vocabulary words appear very often in restaurant conversations.
And once you understand them, it becomes much easier to follow what the server is saying.
Exactly. Vocabulary helps you understand the situation better.
All right, now let's move into a longer and more natural conversation where we use these words in real restaurant situations.
Emma, let's imagine a real situation. You and I walk into a restaurant together for dinner. What usually happens first?
Usually, someone at the entrance greets us and asks how many people are in our group.
Right. They might say something like, "Good evening. How many people are in your party tonight?"
And we could answer, "2 people, please."
After that, they usually show us to a table and give us the menus.
Yes, and that's the moment when people often start reading carefully and deciding what they want to eat.
Sometimes I look at the menu for a long time because everything sounds delicious.
Same here. I often look at 3 or 4 different dishes and think, this one sounds good, but that one also sounds good.
Exactly. That's when choosing becomes difficult.
A few minutes later, the server usually comes to the table.
And the first question is often about drinks.
Yes, the server might say, "Can I get you something to drink?"
And you could answer with something simple like, "Yes, I'd like a glass of water."
Or maybe, "I'll have iced tea."
Some people like to order a soft drink or coffee as well.
After the drinks arrive, the server usually gives you a little more time to look at the menu.
Then they come back and ask the important question, "Are you ready to order?"
That moment can feel a little stressful if you're not ready.
True, but it's perfectly okay to say, "We need a few more minutes."
That's a very natural response.
And if you are ready, you can simply say something like, "I'd like the grilled chicken."
Or, "I'll have the pasta."
Sometimes people also ask the server for suggestions.
Yes, you might say, "What do you recommend?"
And the server might reply, "Our steak dish is very popular."
Or, "The seafood pasta is one of our specials today."
Hearing those suggestions can make choosing easier.
Definitely.
Once everyone decides, the server writes down the order,
Then comes the waiting part.
which can feel long if you're very hungry.
especially when you see food arriving at other tables.
Yes, and you start thinking, I hope my food comes soon.
After a little while, the server brings the dishes.
They might say something like, here you go, or enjoy your meal.
A simple response is, thank you.
During the meal, the server might return and ask, how is everything?
That's a good moment to respond politely.
If the food tastes good, you can say, everything is great, thank you.
Or, the food is really delicious.
Small conversations like these happen in almost every restaurant.
And practicing them helps learners become more comfortable speaking English.
Exactly. The more you practice these situations, the more natural they feel.
And soon you won't feel nervous ordering food anymore.
All right, now let's talk about some very useful English phrases that people often use in restaurants. Now let's talk about some very useful English phrases that people often use when ordering food at a restaurant.
Yes, these phrases are simple, polite, and very common. Once learners know them, restaurant conversations become much easier.
Let's start with one of the most common phrases, I'd like.
This phrase is very polite and natural. It's probably one of the best ways to order food.
For example, someone might say, I'd like the grilled chicken, please.
Or, I'd like a bowl of soup.
Simple and polite.
Another phrase you'll hear very often is, can I get?
Yes, that's very common in casual restaurants.
For example, you might say, can I get a cheeseburger and fries?
Or, can I get a cup of coffee?
Both of those sound very natural.
Another helpful phrase is, what do you recommend?
This is a great question when you're not sure what to order.
Servers usually know the menu very well, so their recommendations can be helpful.
For example, you could ask, what do you recommend if I like spicy food?
That question often starts a nice conversation with the server.
Another useful phrase is, what comes with this?
That means you want to know what other foods are included with the dish.
For example, if you order a steak, it might come with vegetables or potatoes.
Exactly. So asking that question helps you understand the full meal.
Another polite phrase is, could we get?
Yes, that phrase is often used when asking for something extra.
For example, could we get some extra napkins?
Or, could we get another glass of water?
Very polite and natural.
Another phrase that's very useful is, can I have this without?
That phrase is helpful if you want to remove an ingredient from a dish.
For example, can I have this without onions?
Or, can I have this without cheese?
Restaurants are often happy to make small changes like that.
Yes, especially if it's a simple request.
Here's another phrase that appears near the end of the meal. Could we get the bill?
That's how you politely ask to pay.
In American English, people often say the check instead of the bill.
Both are perfectly correct.
You might say, excuse me, could we get the check, please?
That's a very natural sentence in restaurants.
One more phrase people often use is, can we share this?
Yes, that's common when two people want to eat the same dish.
For example, if a dessert looks very large, two friends might decide to share it.
That actually happens a lot with desserts.
Definitely.
When learners know these phrases, they can handle many restaurant situations easily.
And the more they use these expressions, the more natural their English will sound.
Exactly. Even simple phrases can make conversations feel much smoother.
All right, now let's move into a more relaxed discussion about real restaurant experiences and how people feel when ordering food in English. You know, Emma, restaurants can be really interesting places to observe how people communicate.
That's true. When you sit in a restaurant for a while, you start noticing many small conversations happening around you.
Exactly. You hear people asking questions, making requests, thanking the server, or talking about the food.
And most of those conversations are actually quite simple.
Yes, that's why restaurants are such a great place for English learners to practice speaking.
I remember when I first started traveling more internationally. Ordering food in another language felt a little intimidating at first.
What made it feel intimidating?
Mostly the fear of making a mistake. I worried that I might pronounce something incorrectly or order the wrong dish.
I think many language learners feel that way.
But something interesting happened after I tried it a few times.
What happened?
I realized that most servers are very patient and helpful.
That's very true. Many restaurant staff talk with international customers every day,
So they're used to hearing different accents.
and they usually understand what you mean even if your sentence isn't perfect.
Exactly. Communication is more important than perfect grammar.
I also like how restaurants create a relaxed environment for conversation.
Yes, people usually go to restaurants to enjoy themselves.
So the atmosphere tends to be friendly and comfortable.
That relaxed atmosphere can make it easier to speak.
Another interesting thing is how food often becomes part of the conversation.
That's a good point.
People might say things like, "This dish is really good," or "You should try this."
Or they might ask their friend, "How is your meal?"
Those small comments are very natural.
And they give learners a chance to practice simple English sentences.
Even something like, "This tastes great," is useful practice.
Absolutely.
I also think restaurants help people become more confident with speaking,
How so?
because the conversations are short and have a clear purpose.
That's true.
For example, when ordering food, you already know what the goal is.
You want to choose a dish and communicate that clearly.
Exactly.
That makes the conversation easier to manage.
Another nice thing is that restaurant conversations usually follow a predictable pattern.
First, you read the menu, then you order drinks, then you choose your food.
After that, you enjoy the meal and eventually ask for the bill.
When learners understand this pattern, they feel more confident.
And confidence is a big part of language learning.
Definitely.
Over time, those small restaurant conversations can become a valuable learning experience.
Yes, and they can even become enjoyable moments rather than stressful ones.
Exactly.
All right, before we finish today's episode, let's share a few helpful tips for English learners who want to feel more confident ordering food at a restaurant.
All right, Emma, before we finish today's episode, let's share a few helpful tips for English learners who want to feel more confident when ordering food at a restaurant.
Great idea! These tips are simple, but they can really make the experience easier and more enjoyable.
The first tip is take a little time to read the menu carefully.
Yes, reading the menu slowly helps you understand the options and learn new vocabulary.
If the restaurant has an online menu, you can even look at it before you go.
That can make you feel much more prepared.
The second tip is use simple and polite phrases.
You don't need long or complicated sentences.
For example, saying, "I'd like the chicken salad, please," is perfectly clear.
Simple sentences are often the best.
The third tip is don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes, that's very important.
If you don't understand something on the menu, you can ask the server.
For example, you could say, "Could you explain this dish?"
Or, "What do you recommend?"
Most servers are happy to help.
And asking questions is also great practice for speaking English.
Exactly.
Now, let's ask our listeners a question so they can practice English too.
Yes, here's today's question. What is your favorite food to order at a restaurant?
Try answering this question in English in the comments. For example, someone might say, "My favorite food to order is pasta."
Or, "I like ordering grilled chicken with vegetables."
You can also tell us about a popular dish in your country.
That's a fun way to share culture and practice English at the same time.
And remember, writing even 1 or 2 sentences is good practice.
Absolutely.
All right, Emma, let's wrap up today's episode. Well, Emma, today we talked about a very common real-life situation.
ordering food at a restaurant.
Yes, and we explored several useful vocabulary words, helpful phrases, and natural conversations that people often have in restaurants.
We also discussed how restaurant conversations usually follow a simple pattern, which makes them a great opportunity to practice English.
Exactly. Even small interactions like ordering a drink or asking for the bill can help you become more confident speaking English.
And remember, you don't need perfect English. Clear and simple sentences are more than enough.
The most important thing is to keep practicing and not be afraid to speak.
Every real conversation, even a short one in a restaurant, can help improve your fluency.
And who knows, your next restaurant visit might turn into a fun English practice moment.
Thank you so much for listening to Practice English TV today.
If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to subscribe and share this podcast with friends who are also learning English.
We hope this episode helps you feel more confident the next time you order food in English.
Keep practicing, stay curious, and enjoy your English learning journey.
Thanks again for listening.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now, and happy learning.